We recently set up our learning plans using Mahara. And in the first phase, what we did was we set goals for ourselves. We set academic, personal, and career goals. Now, it's one thing to have a goal, and it's quite another thing to know exactly what you're going to do to get to that goal. Now, in order to move on to the next step of my learning plan, I want to focus on one of my academic goals. Now, I want to point out a couple things about my goal. First of all, it is a goal that's based on data that I might have about myself. This is my reading score. And my goal is to increase my reading score by 50 points. Now, that wasn't just a random goal that I set for myself. I Googled it, and I wanted to find out how much I should be able to expect my reading level to increase over the course of a year. So that's based on a little bit of research. I didn't just take a stab in the dark, right? But it's also measurable. I can find out whether or not I've reached my goal. All right. So let's talk about how I would show what my plan is to achieve that goal. In Mahara, you can set what we call plans. And in order to get there, we'll click Content. And then we'll go over here and we'll click Plans. And then we'll choose New Plan, because what I want to do is I want to set a bunch of steps that I'm going to follow in order to achieve my goal. So I'll create a new plan, and I'll call it my goal or my plan to increase my Lexile score by at least 50 points. You can see I already have that typed in there. And I'm going to save my plan. Now, a plan is made up of tasks or a bunch of steps that I'm going to use in order to achieve my goal. So I'm going to start next by listing some of my tasks. In order to do that, I click New Task, and it asks me for the title of my task. Now, one of the first things I know that I have to do is I need to know what my reading score is right now. And in order to do that, I have to take a test. So my title is, for this first task, take reading test. Find out what my current score is. Now, I did this already in my language arts class, so I'm going to set this this date. It was actually on, well, let's say it was October 3rd. Okay, and notice that there's a little asterisk next to the title and the completion date. You have to set a completion date for each one of the tasks as well as a title for it. Okay, now I already did this and I found out what my reading score is, and so I can actually mark this task completed because I've done it. All right, so I'm just recording here that I took this step. So I'm going to change the completed to yes, and then I'll save the task. All right, so I have one task, and you notice I have a little check mark where it says completed, and I have a little bit of information about when the completion date was. All right, now I do know my Lexile score because I took this test, and so I can add some more tasks to my plan. So I found out that my Lexile score was, let's say, 1050. So I'm going to use this website that I found while I was doing my research called Lexile.com. I found out that you can create a list of books on this website. So I'm going to use Lexile.com to create a list of 5 books I'd like to read. And I want to read the ones that are in the 1100 range because my score is 1050 and I want to increase it. So I want to read books that are a little bit higher level. All right. And let's say that I want to do that, I don't know, by the end of this week. So I'll click here and set a due date for myself, which I can always change, but I kind of want to keep myself to that. So November 4th is my due date. I haven't completed it yet, so I'm going to leave this alone, and I'm going to save my task. And so now I have 2 tasks in my plan, and I can add more. So let's say once I get this list put together of all the books that I'm going to read, I want to read one of these books by the end of the second marking period. Now, in order to know when I'm going to accomplish that, I need to know when the end of the second marking period is. So I really need to pay attention to dates. The end of the second marking period, I think, is what? I think it's December 2nd. So we'll set that as our due date. Okay, so I want to read one of these books by the end of the second marking period. And you can decide whether or not that's realistic for you or not, but I'm just giving you some examples here. So we'll save that task. And you notice now I have 3 tasks, and I can keep on going. One of the things that you want to do is keep your tasks consistent. So if I read one of these books by the end of the second marking period, I probably want to read another book by the end of the third marking period. That would be a separate task. I also want to do things in addition to that by doing things like learning new words. So let's say I want to learn 10 new words each week. Okay. And so the end of the first week would be, well, since it's October 31st right now, that would be November 4th. And I can come back and I can change that due date each week, or I could just set it for the end of the semester. And I can, I don't know, put together some evidence that I've learned 10 new words. So maybe, speaking of evidence, maybe I want to start recording the words on a Google Doc, which will be interesting a little bit later because we can put that into our learning plan and show evidence that we've actually learned 10 new words each week. So I'll save the task. So I have about 4 tasks in order to accomplish my goal right now. All right, and again, that was under plans. Now, I want to show people what I've done and or what I plan to do. So I'm going to go back to my learning plan by clicking Portfolio. It's already on Pages. I'll scroll down to where it says My Learning Plan 2016-17. And in order to add those plans, I need to turn editing on for the page. So I'm going to click over here where it says Edit this page. And then I'll go down to General. This is the menu of all the things that I could add to my page. And when I click General, notice that Plans is one of the things that I can add to my page. And I'll put it in the wide column to the left. Now, I only have one plan to choose from, so I'll select this plan in order to put it on my page, and I'll click Save. And now I have my plan for achieving the goal of increasing my Lexile score by at least 50 points. Now, I might want my academic goals above that, so I can slide this up by clicking and dragging it. But now my learning plan is starting to grow a little bit. Not only do I have goals, but I'm starting to have plans in order to achieve those goals. And what you want to do is you want to have a set of plans for each one of the goals that you would like to accomplish.